Hello, Sula here from MistyHilltops.com. Thanks for stopping by. In this video, I'm working on a scrapbook layout that I titled Carousel, and I'm working with a number of photos, and I'm using the digital scrapbooking kit at the Boardwalk by Amber Shaw and Kristin Cronin-Barrow, which is an older kit, so I'm guessing it's probably no longer available, but still. So the theme is pictures from a carousel, and so I wanted to have that, and so it works. I have the pattern papers that I'm using go along with that as well. So here I decided to go with a full-on patterned background paper. I don't often do that because I don't like when a page gets too busy, but sometimes I like to mix things up. And so here I am using a fully patterned. Obviously the pattern is not too heavy, so it doesn't get too crazy on this page. And it's pretty light colored page. So as usual with my scrapbooking, I'm working on basically a 6x12, two 6x6 size layouts that make a double page spread, if I want to say so. And this will then end up in a 6x6 scrapbook that I'm going to put together. And so these are the pages, and I print everything. I design the page in my Silhouette Studio, which is a free software, by the way, and then I print everything so that I can then arrange everything on the page. And I'm using paper that is slightly thicker than just normal copy paper. It's not full on cardstock, but it is definitely not as thin as copy paper, so it has a little bit of a firmness to it and is easy to work with. And so often I try to mirror the two pages, and here I knew that most of it, some of the background paper will be covered up, so I didn't care that it had to go all the way to the inside edge there. And sometimes I just to make it interesting too, I didn't want it to go all the way. And they're they're offset from each other, so it's not a continuous pattern except for that paper flag there, but the other pattern paper with the dots is offset. So I'm not aiming for it to be exactly in the same position on both pages. And so I just like to use these different kinds of designs here. And now I am putting down the paper flags, and I always have to remember what comes first in the layering and what comes next in the layering so that I don't forget. It happens often to me that I glue something down and I realize, oh no, something needed to go underneath. And so, but in this case, for once, I am remembering. So I have these four square, I think they're 3x3 square four photos, and so I can start with aligning them from the center of the page. So that's what I'm doing there. I'm aligning these photos from the center of the page, and because nothing will go underneath the two center ones or middle photos, I was already able to glue them down, but here now I can determine where exactly I want those little circles there. These circles, I use some of my circle dies to cut them out. Even the ones that are half circles, I cut an entire circle and then I cut it apart, or I just print part of the circle and then just run it partially through my die cutting machine. So with this, it gives these circles, with using these die cuts, it gives these circles just a little bit of nice pop. And then with the other papers that I just trim by hand, I run a card around the edges so that everything pops off the page a little better and works with the shadowing. Here I am adding some paper flags. Again, I should have probably glued them down before I put the photos down, but I'm also making sure I'm not putting glue on the entire paper flag there. I'm only putting glue on the top part of the paper flag so that the bottom part will stick off or come off the page a little bit, giving it a little more dimension. I don't want my pages to become too bulky, because I don't like when the album gets too bulky, and it bends. Even if I use heavy duty cardstock, it bends the cardstock if I add full on dimensional flowers and buttons and things like that. So I try to avoid this and mostly stick with thin paper elements there. And so here I have, this is actually this little horse figure there. I used my silhouette to cut it out. It's the same as the word carousel. I wasn't gonna fussy cut that with my hand, so I just printed it on thick cardstock with my silhouette and then cut it out. And I do have a tutorial on how I get perfect print and cuts with my silhouette. You can see that the word carousel was cut pretty well with not pushing the cut off too much off center. So I have a tutorial about how I do that. I'm not using the built-in that comes with the silhouette, the built-in print and cut. I have my own method of how I do it, and I pretty much get perfect cuts pretty much every single time that I do it. So then here I have stamped flowers that I fussy cut, and then I have some die cut foliage, and then these little blossoms there, these little flowers that are also from a die cut set. And so these will also be scattered around the page. And then I have these word strips that I mostly create myself. These would be probably a summer collection that I haven't really shared on my blog yet. There are a number of word strips that I am sharing on my blog, mistyhilltops.com, like winter and autumn and Christmas and garden. And I will continue to share more as time goes on. So if you are interested in using these, it's very easy. All you need to do is just print them on, and I print them on heavy cardstock, and so that it gives a nice pop on my page, and then I just trim them with my trimmer or cut them by hand. So this is what I do with these word strips. So if you're interested, keep checking my blog, mistyhilltops.com, where you can also find a ton of other freebies if you like. So anyways, this is my page done. I'm going to leave you with some more close-ups. I hope you enjoyed this video. Give it a thumbs up if you did. Consider subscribing, and I hope you have a great day. Thanks for watching. Bye.